First, she was a big name in Tamil cinema, then in television. It's a feat few have equaled, none has beaten. But the amazing thing is it's a career that began almost by accident. Here to tell us how it happened is the one and only Radhika. Welcome to the program, Radhika.
Hi.
Let's go back to the very beginning. I gather your father was both a famous actor and a no-nonsense rationalist. So what sort of upbringing did you have?
Very confused. The thing is, my father was a great actor, and he still has that name where everyone still thinks he's a great actor. But my upbringing, you could say, my mother took us away from all that. We were never exposed to the film side of the business or his film life. We were much more exposed to his political life, and that is how we grew up.
There's an amazing story, you must tell me if it's true or not, that apparently once your father during one of his shoots saw the producer praying to a generator that wouldn't work, and he took off his shoe and hit it and it started.
It's absolutely true. My father would do a thing like that, and he's done such amazing things in his life. Recently I found a book of his where he has just written a lot of experiences, and he's a guy, he was an atheist, and at the same time he had this no-nonsense belief about things, you know, like if somebody trampled a newspaper, and immediately they would go like this, like, you know, be very holy about it. And he says, you guys are so stupid, why do you do that to a newspaper? You know, in the West people use it as toilet paper, you know, so make up your mind what you want to do. And this came from a guy who was not educated. Everything what he did was his own awareness. He was a very socially aware person.
Now sadly, controversy overtook the family when you were barely 4. Your father shot MGR and got arrested. What exactly happened?
Well, the truth is not known till day. It's like it's like the JFK episode, I guess, who done it. Because the court transcripts say a lot of different things, and he says a different thing. But till date, he's never spoken about it. My mother has tried asking him. So many friends of his have tried to ask what exactly went wrong, but there was some sort of a misunderstanding between them. Some of the transcripts which my father had spoken in court, and I have read, said, we are great friends, we friends fight. So sometimes you fight, if there's a stick you hit with a stick, but there was a gun that day, so I shot him. I mean, he put it down very simply, and the judge turned around and asked him, do you have a license for this gun? And he said, look, I shot him, he didn't die. I shot myself, I didn't die. So what the hell do you need a license for this gun? I mean, this is how he spoke. But till the end, we never knew what happened.
They were, of course, great rivals and equally great stars at the time, weren't they?
They were, but not rivals. MGR was a big hero. I mean, he was like demi-god in South. So there was no rivalry, but there was some misunderstanding. Never knew what had happened.
Was it difficult for you to grow up with your father in jail and with people turning around and accusing him of being an attempted murderer?
It was difficult with my father being in jail, but the main thing is my mother is solely responsible for bringing all of us up, and she kept us away from everything. But my father, he still has this image where nobody think of him as a murderer, attempted murderer. A person who attempted murder, because his image as an actor and his personal image of being this intelligent person overtook all that. I think everybody knew there was something wrong, but nobody had the guts to talk about it.
Now you say your mother took you away. She in fact took you to what is actually your other home, your other country, Sri Lanka.
That's right.
What was it like growing up in Colombo?
Lovely. I cherish my days in Sri Lanka. I love Sri Lanka a lot. Not a lot of people realize that my mother is Sri Lankan. My mother's side of the family lives there, and I think I blossomed as a person in Sri Lanka. I grew up. I really miss Sri Lanka now, but with all these problems, you don't get to travel there. But my brother is there, so I go and see him often.
Your mom says you were a terrible tomboy at that age.
I was always in trouble. I was always getting into scruff fights, and I was.
She said you used to terrorize your brothers as well?
I used to whack them. I used to love doing it.
And the other thing is you love dancing, and you never stopped embarrassing the family.
God, I was always doing that. Just have to play the music even wherever it is. I still remember in Sri Lanka, in Colombo, you have this huge stretch of beach called Golf Face. And you know, a lot of people go there in the evenings, you know, to for the breeze and take a walk.
And Radhika would be dancing there?
And somebody would play music and I would get on top of the car and dance. And once they took it, somebody clicked a photograph and it was in the next day's newspaper. But it was, I think it's terrible when I look back at it, and I'm so scared my daughter would do the same thing. But
You're scared the daughter may grow up like mummy, huh?
no, but thankfully she's very, she's a much calmer person. And even now when I do crazy things, she says, "Mummy, you're a nutcase."
But the amazing thing is no one in your family at the time ever thought that you would end up in films. They used to tease you and say that you were too ugly.
I was, believe me.
Genuinely ugly?
Genuinely. I was
Fat and ugly?
I was fat, I was full of hamburgers and milkshakes, and I was not interested in anything. I was not focused what I wanted to do. I was always reading books. And my family, everyone thought my younger sister, Nirosha, that she would be the actress. She was very pretty. She still is. And she used to dance, she used to hold on to curtains, then she used to hold on to anything, you know, swing over the sofas and prance about.
So how did you end up an actress instead?
God, it was an accident. My first film was directed by Mr. Bharati Raja. He had made the super hit with Kamal Haasan and Sridevi and Rajinikanth. And his second film he was wanted to do with New Faces, a love story. So he was desperately looking for an actress to play the role. He had gone to see another girl, and there was this group photograph where we had all taken. She was a friend of mine. And he saw that photograph and he said, "Where does this girl live?" And they said, "Next door." So he came to my house and I was there watering plants. And I saw this dark guy with long hair.
And you weren't impressed at all?
No, I thought, who is this gollywog coming in? I mean, I know it's a very, it's a wrong thing to say, but at that point in time I said that. And he said, "Do you want to act in films?" And I said, "Who would see my face?" And he said, "Don't worry about that." So he spoke to my mother. He convinced her, saying that, you know, this film, what the film was about. But he never knew I was Emma Radha's daughter. You know, that would have scared him away. And my mom, who's always encouraged me to do things, she said, "Radhika, give this a try. And if you don't like it, you could always go back to the UK." And actually, I was leaving the next day.
Literally, you were about to go to the UK the next day?
1st February the 22nd, I still remember that. And I was like, okay. But by afternoon, Bharati Raja came to know that my father was Emma Radha, and with my father's reputation, he was absolutely scared. And basically, men in South don't like their daughters to act in films.
So your dad was against it as well?
Very surprisingly, no. He was a forward thinker. He said, "No, why not?" Well, but he was surprised. Radhika?
Not this daughter, the other one surely.
Yeah. So, and that's how I ended up acting in films. And I still remember, it's very traditional, who puts the first makeup on when you come to act. And my father has never put makeup on anybody. And that was the first day he came, took the makeup and put it on my forehead like a tikka. And he said, "May my profession always be with you." And I think that sort of has come true in the long run.
You had, in fact, a great time making that first movie.
Oh, God.
But I gather there were moments when the director had to take dramatic action to
God.
get you to do what he wanted.
That was a nightmare, I tell you. One, I was playing this rustic village girl. I had to walk without slippers. I had no ideas of acting nor dancing. I was never trained to be a Bharatanatyam dancer. The first time I went for Bharatanatyam, the dance master hit me on my knee and I said, "Thank you, I'm not dancing," and I walked off. And I still remember the first day he had to want me to run like a deer. He wanted me to, you know, walk about with a flower. And with my weight, can you imagine me running like a deer? But anyway, he didn't know how to communicate that with me. So he was looking at me and I thought, "Oh God, this is not for me." I started crying. I want to go back to London. Then he said, "No, no, I'll give you a chocolate." So he gives me chocolates. And then he said, "Okay, in this scene, you have to cry." So I turned around and said, "Look, I'm not in a mood to cry." He said, "No, you have to scream." I said, "Why should I scream? It's very silly." He tried begging me, cajoling me. In the end, he just turned around, gave me one thundering slap, and I went, "Ah!" I screamed. He said, "That's exactly what I want. Come back and do it." And this is how he made me act. And the thing was, I was an atrocious Bharatanatyam dancer. If you look back, you know, oh God, I'm a disgrace.
But he did a great job because you went on to become one of the best-known names in Tamil cinema. The funny thing, though, is that you never really felt a part of the Tamil film industry. You were always a bit aside and aloof.
That's very true. When I came in, Tamil industry was much more conservative. And, you know, the thing is, I've been brought up abroad. So when you meet somebody you like, say, "Hi, Mr. Bhartiraja, how are you?" and you put out your hand and shake hands. And that was scandalous. I mean, they wouldn't accept that at all. They thought, God, what is this woman trying to do? And any woman they couldn't understand or, you know, be in control of, she's a loose woman.
So they branded you a loose woman.
They always do that, and I don't let other people's comments affect my life. It's a waste of time.
There was also a moment in the very beginning when you were a bit scared that your Tamil accent was English rather than genuine. And Karunanidhi, I believe, used to write notes on the side of his scripts for you.
Very true, very true. I guess I still have problems in speaking pure Tamil. But when I worked with in Mr. Kalingnia's films, he used to write the dialogues, and it used to be a treat to speak his lines. It was a great thing. And when he gave his lines, he would write in the side, "If Radhika can't speak, please, you can change it." And when I read that, and I said, no, why not? What is this? I should do my best. So I really worked hard in speaking well, and the credit goes to him.
Now, you became a huge, big, as they said, glamour symbol for the Tamil industry. But in the Telugu industry, they really recognized you as a genuine actress. People often say that perhaps your best performance, and I'm going to mispronounce the name, so correct me, was in Swati Mukhathayam?
Mutyam.
Swati Mutyam. Would you accept that?
Yes,
Telugu
true,
brought
very
the
true.
best?
You cannot blame the Tamil industry though, because I was a very playful person. I was not interested in acting. But Telugu is the first language which brought out the actress in me. I did wonderful films in Telugu, and I guess after that Tamil just woke up to the fact that, oh, we have an actress who can act, and then got me back in Tamil. And I used to do all the languages at that time. But
In
it
fact,
was
you've
actually,
acted in all the 4 Tamil, South Indian languages.
yes, I have.
You've also
300 films nearly.
That's incredible, isn't it? You've
Yeah.
also done, in that list of 300, a few Hindi films. One, Aaj Ka Arjun, with Amitabh Bachchan.
Yes, I have.
You were very impressed with him, not just because of his acting, however.
Yes, I think he was one of the most well-behaved. He was very chivalrous, very gentleman. He was a thorough gentleman. I think it was his upbringing, the way he spoke, he carried himself, impressed me one hell of a lot.
In fact, you even said that people in the South are not quite as gentlemanly.
At that time, well, you have to admit, there were not many actors who would offer their chair to you. But then later on, you know, it changed. There were educated boys who were coming in to act like Shivaji Ganeshan's son, Prabhu, or my husband, Sharad. They all were really educated guys, and they knew how to talk to a woman. But the rest...
So that when you first began, that means your heroes in the South were a bit uncouth.
You know why I survived is because I had a sense of humor. I used to laugh, and I used to never take it seriously. I would have been a nutcase, I tell you. But they were different. They just didn't believe. They never knew how to treat a woman, I guess.
Let's take a break. I want to come back in part 2 and talk about the second career you built for yourself, this time in television. We'll be back in just a couple of moments. Stick with us. Welcome back. My guest is the amazing Radhika. Let's talk about your incredible TV career. In '94, you started your own company, Radhan, but it went broke pretty quickly. What went wrong?
Mismanagement. I had a lot of people who were cheating me, and I was doing, I just couldn't cope with it. I get very, very disillusioned when people lie or cheat, so I just shut it down, took stock of the whole situation, and restarted again with my brother and my family's support.
And this time round, you had an absolute winner in your serial, Chitti. Not only did you rebuild the company's fortunes, but you took the whole of the South by storm.
Yes, I did. But my first daily was in Telugu, called Idi Kada Kadu, which did equally as good as Chitti. That did about 650 episodes. And during that time, Mr. Kalanidhi Maran from Sun, I mean, I knew him for a long time, but he never had the confidence to give me a daily. Then suddenly, out of the blue, he said, make a daily.
But once again, Tamil learning from Telugu, just like in the film industry,
yes,
huh?
Yes, it was. And then I did Chitti, which had the success it had.
Chitti was incredible. Why do you think it was so successful? Why did it touch so many chords?
Because I think the women liked my role. I basically played more of myself, a no-nonsense, very straightforward person, I guess.
The sort of lady sitting in front of me?
Sort of, I played myself. That's how the director molded my role, and I think people like that. And then the story and the way it was woven and told, and it just caught up with the imagination. And
I gather that when the September earthquake happened in Chennai, people dashed out one moment to save their lives,
yes,
and then they dashed back in to catch up with the episode.
it's very true. It happened, and I know it did. It's very surprising. I mean, I don't know how to take that at all. Whether to say I'm proud of it or I'm saying like, oh my God, did that really happen? Yeah.
But was a bit of you surprised? Because you've been a major actress, but in the world of films. Did you expect that the response in television would, in a sense, be even greater?
I knew television has a great impact, but this has been one of the kind, I can say. But I'm one person, all the success or anything what I've had, I've never taken it too damn serious, you know. I always like, is it? Thank you very much, and that's it, gone with my life. But it's the first time it took me like totally, really totally unaware.
Swept you off your feet?
Yes, after 300 films, I've acted in 300 films, different roles, the best of roles. And then suddenly, in Chitti, I don't know, that success and the way people adored you and stuff like that, and it was very, very humbling experience.
Now your big game show, Kotishwaran, a sort of Tamil KBC, had to be pulled off the air because it ran into trouble.
It didn't run into trouble, it was doing pretty well. When the political scenario changed in Tamil Nadu, we were shooting in the government studios. The day DMK lost, I think around midnight, somebody called up and said, pull out the sets. I was in Dubai at that time, and I said, I told my team, I said, go in the morning and sort it out. And when they went in the morning, they said, instructions, pull it out.
Do you think it was political vendetta?
But that's very common in South, isn't it?
So you were a victim?
Yes, I was, and it was very sad. But we knew it would happen, because when the election started, when my team, my production team sat on, we looked at the ups and downs, and we said, what is the downslide if we don't win? And what is the, what would happen? Could we shift it to another place? There was no studios which were that big and air-conditioned to run the show. It was a huge, expensive set, and we lost a lot of money on that. But what the hell, it happens.
You have a new serial that began a couple of weeks ago, Kaveri. Is this going to be another Chitti in the making?
Kaveri is a fill in the gap for me, because we needed a break after Chitti, and Kaveri is a different sort of a serial. It's more based in Bombay with the underworld and a Brahmin family. And after that, we come back with the same team where I act during Pongal, and that's called titled Annamalai.
So that's the big one.
That's a big one.
That's what everyone's waiting for.
Yes.
Let's talk a little about yourself. Your mother says that Radhika's been successful at absolutely everything that she's done, but she's not been quite as successful in her marriages.
In my personal life, I try to put it that way. It's very true. I guess it was just in me defying, not listening. I would never listen to anybody, like in the sense, don't do this, so why not?
So the family advised you against the first marriage?
Everything. All my disasters, my personal disasters, whatever it was. And they did. They were against it. And I don't know how to put it. Maybe you're too smart and then you end up falling, doing up a major mistake. And
but when you look back on the marriage which failed, do you regret it, or do you say, no, that's part of life?
It is part of life. You just keep going ahead.
You also have a daughter, a young daughter, who you brought up almost as a single mother, much as your mother brought you up singly as well. Is it difficult to bring up a child on your own, or do you think from your mother's experience you learned a lot?
I did. Yes, it was very difficult bringing up my daughter alone, and I've been through tough times with her. But one thing is, she's been a joy to me. And she's always, every time I would feel a bit down, I'm one person who cannot discuss my personal life with anybody, or even with my mother. I wouldn't talk much about it.
You're a private, closed person.
I am. And then I would sit and I would take stock. I said, okay, let's go. I would never pull myself down because I would not affect her life. She has nothing to do with anything. So I would wake up and I say, no, let's go for it, and keep going.
In a way, in fact, your daughter's been an anchor in your life.
She is, and she still is the anchor in my life.
But you have found someone else. This year you got married again for the second time to your husband, Sarat.
Yeah.
Have you found the happiness that you've been looking for?
Yes, I have. He's a wonderful person. very understanding. And tell me, have to tell you this, I don't like film actors as a rule. I think they're too full of themselves.
I mean, you'd say to yourself, I'm never going to marry one if I can help it.
Yes, and my mother always made fun of me, never hate anything because you end up with it. And there's one thing I used to always say, film actors, no way. But then Sharat and me were very good friends. We worked on this huge thing, you know, raising funds for Kargil. And we were great friends. I used to be his advisor in all his, he and me, actually, if you look back, had the same life. Went through bad marriages, bad relationships. He was totally wiped out financially. Same way happened to me because of my marriage and he because of his whatever. And I used to advise him, don't do this, and, you know, be like this. And then, I guess at some point in time, we started talking and we realized we liked each other. And believe me, I had absolutely nothing to do with him. He's a handsome guy, very well-behaved, no-nonsense character. But I was never looked at him like that.
I mean, it just happened without you realizing you were going to get married?
Never, ever. We were good friends. He, myself and Arvind Swami, we used to sit together. We were like buddies, you know, talking. And
so what made you decide to marry him?
I don't know. Somewhere down the line, I think we started talking to each other. Both of us were very lonely. And then he realized he was very lonely at that point, and he used to talk to me, and then it just happened. It evolved, and it happened very fast, and I think it was just predestined. But I'm very happy.
Your friends say that she's a lady with strong likes and dislikes. Are you judgmental?
I guess I have to be if I am. I am.
And do you have the confidence to pursue your own decisions, or do you worry about what other people think?
No, never.
Never?
Never. I remember and somebody advised me when I was going to get married to Sharat, are you sure you're doing the right thing? Because, you know, I was having this huge success. In the Tamil film industry, if you're married, you're finished. If you have a child, you're buried. And if you're going to get remarried, forget it. But every single time I've succeeded, and I'm still in the same breath after so many years. And when I was going to get married to Sharat, I think a lot of people sort of were very worried, and they said, don't you think this is going to affect you? And I said, at this point in time and this point of my life, I have a decent human being who wants to marry me and who I feel is a wonderful person, so let me go ahead with it. And I did it without worrying about the consequences. Where did it stop me? So ultimately, all this hype about doing the wrong thing and affecting your image is all rubbish. If you work hard, you're convinced about your work, and you keep going ahead, I think that's where the success is.
Absolutely. Good luck, and keep doing what you think is the right. Thank you for a wonderful interview, Radhika.
Thanks a lot. It was a pleasure.